This award was given by UI Green Metric in 2019. This university also received an award in financial management as the second best general services institution of the 2017-2018 administrative year from the Ministry of Religious Affairs. It achieved the most outstanding position in performance accountability as a government body under the Ministry of Religious Affairs in 2019. Such a lovely campus like this will absolutely make the atmosphere of learning and activities more comfortable. Moreover, the effort to realize a green campus is the vision of UIN, namely as an international reference in the development of multidisciplinary, integrative Islamic science with environmental perspective in 2035. Throughout 2019, the number of students at UIN Raden Intan Lampung was recorded as 32,290 students from undergraduate and postgraduate programs. And various achievements were also met by the UIN academic community, both in the academic and non-academic fields. Teacher Training and Tarbiyah Faculty. Islamic Economy and Business Faculty. Sharia Faculty. Dakwah and Communication Studies Faculty. Usuluddin and Religion Studies Faculty. Adab Faculty. Postgraduate programs.
UIN Raden Intan Lampung diharapkan dalam proses pembelajaran pendidikannya bisa menghasilkan manusia-manusia yang unggul secara akademik, secara intelektual atau yang disebut dengan ulil albab, dan juga cerdas secara spiritual disebut dengan ulil absor, dan juga diharapkan melahirkan manusia-manusia yang berintegritas yang disebut dengan ulin nuha. Oleh karena itu, UIN Raden Intan Lampung dalam hal menyelenggarakan pendidikan juga punya ciri khas, yaitu adanya kesadaran lingkungan. Ini tidak lain adalah untuk menjawab tuntutan global. Dan ini insya Allah dari waktu ke waktu, dari tahun ke tahun, kita selalu melakukan perbaikan-perbaikan untuk bisa merespon, menjawab tantangan zaman.
With the motto of intellectuality, spirituality, integrity, UIN has the responsibility to educate the nation's life and create superior human resources. So, let's study at UIN!
UIN Raden Intan Lampung. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Fitrah Aulia Ansar, and I will be the Master of Ceremony or host for today's webinar. Thank you so much for being here. Let me begin by giving you a warm welcome to the virtual talk series 13 hosted by UIN Raden Intan Lampung in collaboration with Indonesian Extensive Reading Association, IERA, as supported by the Extensive Reading Foundation. And prior to the webinar, there are some rules that should be followed by all participants here. The first, if you are joining the talk on Zoom, please turn off your audio to maintain the continuity of this event. And the second, the Q&A session, participants may ask some questions to the speakers, either by typing the questions in the chat box or using the raise hand feature. Questions will be selected by the moderator and delivered to the speakers. We also have some panelists who are going to help answer the questions. And at the end of this webinar session, all participants need to complete the exit form, which will be shared later on. So please remember the rules that we have today. Okay, we honorably welcome the President of IERA, Ibu Fenty Lydia Siregar, Ph.D., and also as the member of the Extensive Reading Foundation. Okay, participants, proudly we have invited some keynote speakers for today's virtual talk series starting with the theme Extensive Reading, What Books Can Do. Our keynote speakers are first Michael Lacey Freeman, as the author of Egghead, and then the second one is Imam Malik Riduan, M.A. Ph.D. candidate from Western Sydney University, Australia. Other than that, we also have 4 panelists at this event. They are Istiqomah Rahmawati, M.Pd, as IERA member and also a lecturer in UIN Raden Intan Lampung, and Ibu Dr. Nida Husna HR M.Pd MA TESOL from UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta, and then Bapak Dery Herdawan M.Pd from Politeknik Maritim Negeri Indonesia, and then the last one is Bapak Agus Hidayat M.Pd from UIN Raden Intan Lampung. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce UIN Raden Intan Lampung Vice Rector for Students Affairs and Cooperation, Professor Wan Jamaluddin Z.M.A. Ph.D., who will give his opening remarks this morning. Bapak Prof. Wan Jamaluddin Z.M.A. Ph.D., this time is yours.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning all. Dear Ibu Fenty Lydia Siregar, Ph.D., the chairperson of Indonesian Extensive Reading, distinguished speakers and all panelists, Mr. Michael Lacey Freeman from Italy, Imam Malik Riduan, M.A. Ph.D. from Western Sydney University, Australia, Ibu Istiqomah Nur, and Mr. Agus Hidayat, M.Pd. from University Islam Negeri Raden Intan Lampung, Ibu Dr. Nida Husna from UIN Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta, Bapak Dery Herdawan M.Pd. dari Politeknik Maritim Negeri Indonesia, and all participants. Welcome to the Extensive Reading Virtual Talk 13, titled by What Books Can Do. On behalf of Director of UIN Raden Intan Lampung, I welcome you all to join this program. As we know that books are not only explicitly and materially as texts, but books also can considered as tools symbolizing and representing the idea behind the text. In this point of view, reading books must be considered as one of the most important key in building human culture and civilization. We know the famous word that say, we are not what we think about, but we are what we read indeed. Among Islamic santris or students, famous this paraphrase, khairu jalis fi zaman kitab. The best friends for you for all the time is only books. That's why the reading is one of the most important activity ordered by Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, or God, as he said in Surah 96, A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim, bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Iqra bismi rabbikal ladzi khalaq. Read in the name of your Lord who created all. Sadaqallahul azim. Dear speakers, all panelists and participants, on behalf of Rector of UIN Raden Intan Lampung, Profesor Dr. Kiai Haji Muhammad Mukri M.Pd, let me invite you all to open officially this ceremony by saying and reciting Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I think this my opening remarks, opening speech for you all, and please join the program, the 13th virtual talk, extensive reading, what books can do, and see you again in the next program. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof, for the great speech. All right, everyone. So let's take a picture together. We kindly ask you to open your video so we can take a picture. Okay, Ms. Isti.
There are 5 slides here, so we will have 5 big smiles. I will count it 1, 2, 3 for each picture, each slide. So we wouldn't know that, whether you are on the frame or not. So just smile for one. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. Good. The third smiles. 1, 2, 3. Okay. The fourth smiles. 1, 2, 3. The last smiles. 1, 2, 3. Okay, Ms. Aulia, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Isti. All right, everyone. The next important agenda will be led by our moderator, Bapak Thomas Wahyu Prabowo Mukti, M.Pd. He is one of the member of IERA and academician at Universitas Sanata Dharma. Bapak Thomas, the floor is yours, and enjoy your event.
Thank you so much, Ibu Aulia. I hope you can hear my voice clearly. Okay, so good morning, the honorable speakers and panelists, and all virtual talk participants joining on Zoom, Facebook, or YouTube channel. My name is Thomas. I'm from Universitas Sanata Dharma, and I'm going to be the moderator of the 13th virtual talk today. I feel so honored to welcome you all on today's virtual talk. And on today's virtual talk, we are going to have discussions under the topic of what books can do. This webinar will be divided into 2 rounds. The first round is for the invited speakers, where we will have 2 wonderful speakers. And the second round is for the invited panelists. The first round, the speakers will present their ideas, and each of them will speak for around 20 minutes. And we will continue with a 10-minute question and answer session. You can ask the question directly from now using the chat feature in Zoom, YouTube, and Facebook. So now we shall begin the first round. Our first speaker is Michael Lacey Freeman. Michael Lacey Freeman is an author of several ALT books like Egghead, Dot, and Change Up. He won the Language Learner Literature Award in 2017 for the Egghead, LLL Award in 2014, finalist of LLL Award in 2015 and 2016 from Extensive Reading Foundation. In today's talk, we will discuss the Egghead experience, how students have responded to the story, how it has become a home run book for some, how it has created a space for students to talk about difficult issues like bullying, and how reading the story has had a knock-on effect on other skills like speaking and writing. So without any further ado, let us welcome Michael Lacey Freeman. Michael, you have 20 minutes, and I will let you know if you only have 3 remaining minutes for your presentation. Time is yours, Michael.
Thank you very much. It's an honor for me to be here. First question, can you hear me? I hope you can hear me okay?
Yes.
Very clear.
Wonderful,
Loud and
wonderful.
yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to share my screen now, so I hope you can see now my presentation. I'm sure you will tell me if there's any problem. I love the title, What Books Can Do, because I'm going to talk about what Egghead, the experience I've had with this particular story of mine, and what this book, from my experience, has done. But also I want to talk, every story also has a story. And so I'd like to sort of maybe talk about this little boy in this picture, just to begin the first minute or 2, because obviously I imagine many of you haven't read Egghead. So I have to introduce this character to you just for a few minutes. If you don't know him, if you know Egghead already, please excuse me, but I just want to give a little bit of information about this little boy you see in the front cover of this book, of this story. Because this little boy was me when in the 1970s. I was bullied both physically and mentally, continuously, every day. It was a very difficult period for me to try to survive, basically, like many children. It's a big, big problem, and it's still a problem. And I had 2 things that helped me to survive this period. The first thing I had was I had a friend. I had a very special friend who spoke to me every day, who was with me all the time. And of course, friends are so important. This person, this boy, was special, was different, was very different from other children, from other friends, because he didn't really exist. He existed in my head. He was an imaginary friend. And Andrew stayed with me all through the period of bullying. He was there by my side. The second thing I had, and this is why this title, What Books Can Do, is so important to me, not just as a writer, but as a reader. Because the second thing for me that saved me was reading. Because every evening from 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock, I would read stories. And in those stories, I found freedom. In those stories, I found a place, a community, where I could go and nobody would judge me. I could be who I wanted to be. I felt free in those stories. And it's thanks to my teacher who encouraged me to read, asked me about my reading, what was I reading, and so on. That helped me. And so the bullying continued until I was 16, and then when I was 16, the bullying stopped. And I decided that this was a closed chapter, that this chapter of my life would now be closed. I didn't talk about this. I didn't talk about the bullying. And then one day I woke up. I was in London because I'm from Britain. I was in London and I was 50 years old, 50. And it was my birthday. It was a surprise birthday party. And I went into this restaurant, this place, and there were 100 people from my life. All had come to see me. I was overwhelmed. It was an incredible evening. But you know, the first person I saw at the party was my teacher. And when I saw my teacher after 34 years, I became a little boy again. And I said, good evening, Mrs. Hewitt, like a boy. When I got back home to Italy, I decided to become that little boy again and write the story of that little boy. And this is the story that I'm talking about today, Egghead. I needed to write this story because I thought that if one child could feel less alone as a result of reading my story, then it would be wonderful. It would be absolutely worth writing. And so I wrote it. And I wrote it really quickly. And it became like a physical thing. The story became had some physicality, a book. And as soon as the book arrived, I went on internet. I booked a flight. I went to the airport. I flew to London. I went to a street where my teacher lived. And I went to the house where my teacher lived. And I knocked on her door. And she opened the door. And I gave her the book and said, thank you. I said, thank you. The circle had been completed. But I didn't know how this book would impact upon people. I had no idea. I wrote it for myself. This is me when I was a little boy with my father. You can maybe sense some kind of insecurity on my face. And this is me as a grown man sharing the story with many students. And the response is always like this. The children are enthusiastic, or the readers are enthusiastic if they're adults or children, and they've got lots of questions for me. And here you can see they have even given me football, because in the story I wasn't included in the football games of my peers, and they wanted to correct something that they felt was wrong. And so, you know, basically I was really surprised by how the story made connections with the readers. Not only did they read the story, but they got involved in the story to such an extent that they started to write, some of them, their own story and to talk about these issues and what the story meant to them. Sometimes it would be drawing, sometimes videos, sometimes making films of acting out scenes and even changing the story sometimes. It was like a complete involvement, and I found myself, when I wrote the story, I thought I would love to have the opportunity to take Egghead to speak to people about bullying, to speak to parents and children about bullying. I didn't know that it was actually Egghead that took me. If I didn't take Egghead, the story became something I would be invited all the time, and it made me so happy to have these opportunities. And in fact, I think what happened with Egghead and what is happening for many readers, it becomes a home run book. And this is a term by Treatise in 2001. He talks about that sometimes it's just one book that can change a student's relationship with reading and reading in a foreign language. And this book seems to have this impact on people, where they begin reading thinking, it's just another story that I won't understand, that I will have difficulty with. But somehow this language is simple and direct and from the heart, and the students realize very quickly, the readers, that they can understand it, they can engage. And it becomes a home run book. It gives the reader the confidence to feel that they can read on, that they can continue reading. Stories, and I want to talk about what stories can do, using Egghead as an example, obviously. And I want to talk about these three key things: empathy, understanding of consequences, and creativity. These three ways in which I think Egghead has had an impact, and stories have an impact. Okay. First of all, I want to talk about emotions, because Egghead is full of emotions, and that emotions are the protagonist of the story. The language is a universal language, because emotions are things that all of us know, we have lived. We know what it means to lose someone. We understand what love means. We understand, we have all experienced these emotions of love, jealousy, anger, resentment, all of these things. And so readers can relate to this, they can navigate emotions, and they're reading. And so Egghead is a story where emotions are there, and actions are simple. Actions communicate emotions. We look at this example. This is another story I wrote about a horse who, and here he's saying goodbye to his master, and very simple language. I held my face close to John's face. That was all I could do to say goodbye. Just very simple action explains everything, and the reader can fill in the gaps. The reader knows this territory, and so can participate. And that is what happened with Egghead. Everybody, the readers, could fill in the gaps with their own experience. Another thing about the book is that it uses, I look at this sentence here in the central part of this slide. This is another story I wrote about three children, and they live with their mother. Their father is not there, and their mother is ill. and they're wondering what to do, how to help their mother. And the main character, Bobby, says at a certain point, all things are very expensive. We don't have the money. What can we do? Think, Bobby, think. This question, what can we do? This we is a we that is inclusive. In stories, what happens is the we can be exclusive, it can exclude, it can say, we are going to have a pizza, you not. But with stories, we become something where the reader and the writer are together. They are inside the story. So this we becomes also me as a reader. I am involved in the process of problem solving within the story, jumping inside the story. We is a very powerful pronoun, and it's used in stories to engage the reader. And like in this period of COVID that we are living, where often we are isolated and we are sometimes in lockdown, books are even more powerful because they do include, they make you feel that you are part of a community. And what else Egghead did? Asking questions. When I go to a school or I meet people who have read Egghead, they are full of questions. Every culture, the questions are a little bit different as well. And these questions change, but they're full questions and they take the reader in different directions. And the questions are in English as well. Which, because, when I meet people, they have met me in English. They feel that they have met me because I've given a piece of me in that story. And so the questions are always in English. I wanted to give you an example of what Egghead can do, what stories can do, what Egghead in particular case can do. This is in chapter 5 of Egghead, the class which Egghead belongs to are asked by the teacher to write an essay. And it's an essay where they have to write about the most important person in their life. And so some teachers have asked students to do the same essay. So they arrive at chapter 5 and the teacher invites them to jump inside the story and do what the characters are doing. So to write the essay. And this is an example. This is a 13-year-old girl, if I can read it with you just for a second. They choose to write, I can't see that. I choose to write about my mother because I think she is the best person and the most important for my life. She is the only one that will never leave me. Her name is Virna. She has light brown hair, green eyes, and she has a lot of freckles on her face. And for me, she is wonderful. Her character is like mine, strong, moody. I can't see the word there on the screen. And she hides when she feels bad. Even if I hide my love for her, she knows that I love her. And I say thanks for every day that she has been by my side. She is my hero. She protects me. We have spent a lot of adventures together. And we have overcome all. That maturity of expression. As a teacher, you just put away the red pen. This is a 13-year-old girl expressing something that is so personal and so powerful in another language. And this is what books can do. It gives an opportunity, a context in which someone can let go of something, express something so important. And I think what happened with Egghead is that they could talk about something like bullying. Maybe in their own language they couldn't speak about this, but in another language and using the means of a story, they were able to talk, and they are able to talk about something so difficult as as bullying. Okay.
I'm sorry, Michael, you have 3 more minutes. Thank you.
How much? 5 more minutes? 3 more minutes.
3 more.
So, okay, basically, the stories take you to a place where you are engaged emotionally and intellectually, where your head and your heart are engaged. To a place where you ask the most magical question of all, what happens next? This, for me, is the question that makes us human. My dog doesn't ask me what happens next. He doesn't care. He wants to know what happens now. But as human beings, we want to know what happens next. And stories, obviously, are the most perfect way of getting us to answer just this question, a question that leads to so much learning. And when our head and our heart are engaged at the same time, the barriers to learning are well and truly pulled down. So what often happens when I meet readers of Egghead is that they form a circle. If you can see in the bubble here, they form a circle around me and ask questions. And this kind of circle, I call this whole process the circle. One more thing about stories is that they teach you about consequences. Video games do not teach you about consequences, because if something goes wrong, you can go back and start again. In life, you cannot do that. Egghead, like all stories, is about consequences. When people call Egghead names, when they are mean and rude and horrible, there are consequences. And so it helps children to address the fact that their words have power. If they judge someone, if they treat someone badly, there are consequences to this. And a teacher can use the story often to say, look, if you judge someone, this is what happens. You do not know their story. How can you judge? Also, with Egghead, with all stories that I write, I also make a song, because I think that this helps the head and the heart to engage at the same time. And Indonesia, the people of Indonesia have a special place in my heart, because the first time I spoke to teachers and students in Indonesia, something quite incredible happened, and I will leave you with this video, and Thomas, feel free to stop it when the time runs out. But this was my first experience with Indonesia in Lampung, when I talked to some students about Egghead. And that concludes my talk. Just that moment when the story, sharing the story, also engaged the students also with the song, and sharing that special moment is a perfect example of what stories can do. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me today. I'll stop sharing now, Thomas, okay?
Thank you for the wonderful presentation, Michael. I love that song as well. And I believe all participants feel so touched, especially when you share your story. And I think all teachers and students here can use your book and your tips as well to tackle bullying issues so we can save those kids. All right, our second speaker is Bapak Imam Malik Riduan, MI. And Pak Malik is a PhD candidate at School of Social Sciences, Western Sydney University. He received the scholarship from Mora 5,000 scholarship. He is interested in religion, youth, peace, and terrorism issues. His research is finding legitimation, securitization, and anti-terror policy structure in Indonesia. He is currently teaching at Institute Studi Islam Fahmina and becoming one of PT Media Dharma Indonesia commissioners. He will be talking about his personal experience related to how what he read contributes to his understanding of the marginal groups. So let us welcome Imam Malik Riduan, MA. Pak Malik, you have 20 minutes and I will let you know if you only have 3 minutes for your presentation. Okay. Time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Thomas. I think Thomas is from Jakarta. Yeah? Can I call you Mas Thomas? First of all, I'd like to say thanks and deliver my appreciations to the committee. This is really nice and surprising opportunity to me, since I see there very big names. I don't want to mention them. I don't want to make them like a, you know, some of my colleagues graduated from Raden University, also my colleague in Sampurna University, and some from United States somewhere university. And Michael, thank you for your presentation, and your closing was so great. I like the song very much. Unfortunately, I'm very bad in art, especially in singing a song. I don't know how to read, like how to sing a song. I don't know how to read the notation or something. But I love music, but I cannot prove that I love music. I like art very much. I cannot prove that I like art very much. You know, so I tell you later why. I'm like that. Okay, let me share my screens. This is very simple presentations. I don't want to give you like a sophisticated presentations with very scientific presentations. Yeah, it is because I'm a bit lazy. I mean, you know, I don't want to think a lot about something else. So my dissertation, my research is make me crazy now. So I don't want to make another thing to make it crazy. And also because I want to talk to students. Students like something easy. So let me share my presentations, the easy presentation. Okay. Yep, can you see my presentation? Everybody?
Yes, Malik. Yes,
okay.
Malik.
Okay, thank you, Mas. Yeah, what books can do? First of all, I want to introduce myself. Something might be surprising. I'm a person with Irlen syndrome or reading dyslexia. So people with reading dyslexia, reading is really challenging for me. If you check in Wikipedia or just Googling what is Irlen syndrome, what is reading dyslexia, you will find there. So reading to me is really challenging. But when I know what books can do, I like reading. But again, I cannot prove that I like reading. How many books as I can read every day? Maybe only like five pages, might. Oh no, Malik, that's so little. That's so you cannot say you like reading if you can only read like 2 pages or 5 pages. Yeah, for persons like you might be yes, but person like me, people with reading dyslexia, with Egghead syndrome is really big. You know, if I can read 5 pages in one time, that's really, you know, a big achievement to me. Okay, but I'll tell you later. Next. Okay, why you read? This is actually based on my experience and my friends' experience. When I ask my friends why you read, some of them reading is fun because reading is fun. Somebody I find somebody they can make, you know, they will be very happy if they read a book, when they read a book. So people like that, maybe they can read like 5 books every day, or even you know, like crazy. They sometimes they ignore everything. They don't want to talk to people. They just enjoy books and a cup of tea, something like that. So reading is fun. And some people say reading for knowledge. People like me, mostly I read for knowledge. I read because I want to know something. Because like, you know, most of my book reading, most of my books, they're like, you know, I can pick up one of here, see, Laskar Jihad, and then the illusion of Islamic State. You know, almost all of my books are for knowledge because I like knowledge. But sometimes people like me is a very boring person. You know why? Because when I talk to my friends, when like easy, when we have like easy discussions, just chit chat, immediately come up in my mind a book. Oh yeah, your story is just like in the book I read. Oh yeah, your story is just like in this book. Your story is just like in this book. So, you know, my friends, some of my friends in Pesantren, I was studying in Pesantren, they call me like, you know, mini encyclopedia. Not because I'm smart, no. It's because I always remember something in a book. It's boring, right? Yeah. But, okay. Another thing is reading for nothing. Reading for nothing. Sometimes, you know, I have one book in my bag sometimes, and reading for nothing. Actually, because I don't have something to do, then I read. If I have friends, I will talk to friends. If I have food in front of me, I will eat. But because I don't have something to do, then I read. So reading for nothing. Okay, now those 3, either you read for fun, you read for knowledge, or you read for nothing. That can give you miracle. You can do, you can be something with this thing. Like this book, Berdiri di Kota Mati. I just got this book. This is an Indonesian book. The first time I read this book because reading for nothing. Because I have nothing to do, and I read this book. But I found, you know, the unpredictable story in this book. You know, you will find the traditions in the Middle East. This is one of the chapter in this book is telling about something in Middle East. So people in Indonesia think Middle East, the imagination of Middle Eastern in Indonesians' imagination is completely different with the characteristic of Middle Eastern's telling in this book. So that's really new for me. Okay, and then what is happening when you read? When you read, pushing your limit. You know, as a santri, people with the Islamic tradition, very traditional Islamic traditions, I push my limit. I can study abroad. I'm now studying in Australia. I have a dinner in Hillary Clinton office. I, you know, doing fishing in Sydney, Darling Harbour. It's really not typical of Santri from Santran. I push my limit. And, you know, recharging your body battery. I just know this word, body battery. If you wear smartwatch, you will see body battery. And please check your body battery. After you read, you will charge your body battery. Okay. And virtual traveling. Of course, the virtual traveling. And, you know, starting from the virtual traveling, you can motivate yourself, and you will make your dream come true. I visited Sorbonne Paris 3 University in Paris because I read, the first time, it is because I read The Rainbow Truths of Andrea Hirata. Andrea Hirata mentioned in his book about Sorbonne University, and because of this book, I traveled by bus from Leiden to Paris. And you know, when I arrived in Paris and I visited Sorbonne, I talked to bodyguard there, the security staff there. I tell them I want to enter the building. And you know what? The staff told me that you cannot enter the building without a tourist guide. And the tourist guide can only provide it if I visited with 10 persons. So it's impossible, right? It's impossible because I went to Paris only with my wife. So it's almost impossible. And then I remember what Andrea Hirata did. It's like a lot of impossible things did by Andrea Hirata, and I want to do something, something like what Andrea Hirata has done, you know. And immediately in my mind come up an idea. I talked to the security guard. I said that I'm not going to only visit Sorbonne University. I'm not a tourist. I am a student. I'm a potential student for the university, and I want to visit this university. I want to visit the office. I want to ask about the university, how to be a student, and then what should I do to be a student, something like that. And the security asked me, what faculty do you want? What school do you want to? What school do you want to study? You know, immediately come up in my mind, I want to do anthropology. Can you show me where is the School of Anthropology office? And then the security guide me to visit the anthropology office. You know, it's funny. And then I can visit the Sorbonne University. I can see the classes there. I can see the yard. I can see the cafe. I can do just like a tourist. So this is what I call miracle. The book can do anything. Okay. Now, reader metamorphosis. Cosmopolitan and inclusive. This is a very important thing of what book can done. What book can does. As a reader, you will be a cosmopolitan and inclusive person. just like what I mentioned before, I'm a santri. I push my limit, and I don't know what is if you have a different definition of cosmopolitan and inclusive, but I don't want to play on the definitions. But what I want to say is when you read book, then you can be an inclusive person. You can imagine what people imagination, why this group doing that, why those people are acting like that. Then you can it build your empathy. It's also build your sympathy. So if you know the word being global citizens, so book can bring you to those situations, can lead you to be a global citizen. Okay, so this is part of, I mean, some books that inspiring me. This is Sorbonne University, and the word is by Thomas Friedman. You know, the first time when I see some Indonesians complaining that the increasing of the number of unemployment in Indonesia, people complaining about that. The first time I was also complaining about that, because I thought that this is Indonesian problem, and this is it is happening because of our government. But when I read this, the world is flat. I know that problem also happened in the United States. When now people in the United States worried about that, because the case in this book mentioned by Thomas Friedman, he said that some doctors in the United States now, they send the medical record to, sorry, not doctor, once medical laboratorium in United States, they send the medical record to India, asking Indian doctors to read the medical record and send the results to United States. So the doctor in United States getting worried because of this. You know, because doctor in United States is so expensive, and doctor in India is cheaper than doctor in United States. So the medical laboratorium sends the medical record to India to get lesser price, and then doctor in India sends the information to United States. That's you know, it was surprising me, this book. And another thing is the ultimate experience. This is Harari's book, and because I'm now working on counterterrorism projects, so and most of books or article in Indonesia discussing about Islamic radicalism. So most of article about counterterrorism in Indonesia, they relate their discussions to Islamic extremists. But by reading this book, I know that the holy war, or people like to do war, it's not only in Islamic traditions, but in many religious traditions. They like to do war. They like to do violence on behalf of their own religions. So I think this is my experience. Okay. I just want to close my presentations by giving motivation to students. If you now, if you don't like to read now, please you try. And how to choose the best book, how to choose good book. I have a tips from, I forget the name. Somebody give me a tips how to choose good book. Just open anywhere, read. If you find something interesting, okay, good. And then try another pages. And if you find 3 times interesting, that's good book. So thank you very much, Mas Thomas, and the committee. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Pak Malik. That was such an inspiring story you have shared to us. Your journey is wonderful, and I could say you are not boring at all. Your stories confirm how powerful books are. Thank you once again, Pak Malik. And for participants, since no one asked yet, we will move the question and answer session to the end of this session after the panelists' presentations. We are waiting for your questions. And now we will move to the second round of the talk. It is time for the panelists to deliver their presentations. We will have Ibu Istiqomah Nur Rahmawati, M.Pd, Dr. Nida Husna, HR, M.Pd, MA, TESOL, Bapak Dery Hirdawan, and Bapak Agus Hidayat, M.Pd. Bu Isti and Bu Nida will have 15 minutes, while Pak Dery and Pak Agus will have 10 minutes each. We will have the question and answer session once again after their presentation. Okay, our first panelist is Ibu Istiqomah Nur Rahmawati, M.Pd. Ibu Isti is a lecturer at English Education Department of Tarbiyah and Teacher Training, Faculty of Islamic State University of Raden Intan Lampung, or UIN Raden Intan Lampung. She is an active member of the Indonesian Extensive Reading Association, or IERA, and reading novels is one of her favorite activities on the weekends. She loves it because it makes her feel relaxed and broadens her imagination as well. Today, she will share some book genres for novice readers. So, Ibu Isti, please take your time. You have 15 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Thomas. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, good morning, everyone. Well, I believe today's virtual talk is divided into 2 types of audience. The first one is the avid readers. The second one is the reluctant readers. That is why I would like to discuss about the topic entitled Getting to Know Your Book Preference. So every time I begin my talk, I do always ask the audience whether they like to read or not. Do you like reading? Yes or no? You can type in the chat box, yes or no. So, Pak Thomas, how many no's and yes in the chat box? Because I can't see the chat box. Can you help me, Pak Thomas? How many? Oh, just which one? Or more? Yes or no answer? Okay. Well, if your answer is yes, then congratulations. You just one step ahead from someone whose answer was no, of course. Anyway, I was on your shoes many years ago. So, what do you think of reading? In the beginning, for me, reading is so boring, especially when it comes to English books. So when I first started reading, one of the 2 things would happen. Number 1, the book would put me to the sleep, or number 2, I would get a headache because even after reading a sentence over and over again, I still have no idea what it means. Until I found out about extensive reading. You know that extensive reading involves students reading a lot of easy, interesting books that they select themselves. So after I do the extensive reading today, not only do I understand what's written in a book, but I can also be proficient in English because honestly, reading has improved on my listening, speaking, and writing skills as well. Then I believe it can apply the same to you and your student, just like what Pak Imam told to you previously. So if you are a reluctant reader and want to master English like the others, then you need to pick books that are simple and interesting so that you just cannot put them down. So I'm sure that everyone is familiar with this one. Do you still remember about 10 principles of extensive reading? Well, today I just want to highlight those 2 principles. The first one, a variety of reading material on a wide range of topics must be available, of course. And then the second one is learners choose what they want to read. Then, we are going to discuss 6 types of books that will help you to get into the habit of reading and positively get a bonus or reward, that is your English is going to be upgraded. So there are the top 6 genres, based on my opinions, of books that have helped me get into the habit of reading, and I wish they help you and your students too. All right, number 1, of course, comic books. Everyone loves comics. Remember when you were a student in school textbook, you used to look forward to the pages that had pictures on them because pictures made the boring text appear interesting. If you find it boring, then pick up a book that is full of pictures, that is comic books. Look, I started reading English books because of these 3 titles. You can read it by yourself. The pictures in the comics help you understand the story and content. The words give you the dialogues and details. Together you get an incredible boost to your English reading comprehension, vocabulary, and many more. So, do you watch Big Bang Theory? There is a reason why Raj, Sheldon, Leonard, and Howard are down at the comic book store all the time. It's because comics are fun. So please, feel no shame in picking up a comic book that is full of pictures. That is how you start reading. Just grab the comics that I mentioned, then you are good to go. Okay, number 2, novel, mystery or adventure novels. Now, after comics, you want to progress to novels, but not commit too much to them, so pick up a small or thin book. Okay. So for if you are a beginner, which one of these 2 books will you choose? The thick or the thin one? Okay, obviously, of course, you will choose the smaller or the thinner one. That's the reality that you have to accept. You need smaller tasks that are easy to finish because they will boost your confidence to pick up a bigger task. So for this genre, let's get back to this one. I would recommend 3 book series. R.L. Stein's Goosebumps, Enid Blyton's The Famous Five, and all of Agatha Christie. I think, in my opinion, all of these 3 are small mystery novels that use simple English, and you just cannot put them down because you want to know what happens on the next page. Then, after that, you actually end up finishing the book. That is how you develop the habit of reading. Number 3, romance or love stories. Let's be honest, we all need love. You might not have found your perfect guy or girl in real life, but they do exist in between the lines of romantic novels. So another reason why I recommend love stories is because the best thing about romance is we know about how it will end. Romance has its prescribed ending. It lets you enjoy the journey without worrying about the destination. So I love romance. So for beginner, I would recommend two books. The first one is The Fault in Our Stars, and the second one is Twilight. I know what's in your mind. Twilight? Come on, don't judge a book by its movie. The book and movie are different things. Just read the first novel and then decide whether you want to read the rest of the book series or not. Okay. Number 4, biographies. To be honest, I'm not into biographies. Reading a book full of achievement by super successful people, sort of making me feel like a loser who are busy doing nothing. Sometimes when I read the biographies, I always think that, okay, what was I doing? Why? I was busy doing nothing. So I think it's worse than seeing your friends post their achievements to Instagram. But if the writer is dull, then biographies do get interesting and you also end up learning a lot. So for this genre, I would just suggest one book because this is not one of my favorite. So if you love to watch Trevor Noah in a stand-up comedy program, you have to read this book. You will be surprised how someone whose life is in misery can produce such as smart humor. Next one is random fiction. This is the best starter pack you can ever have. The moral of the story of the To Kill a Mockingbird is that people should treat one another fairly, as equal, and with respect, and not be blinded by prejudice towards others of different race, colors, background, or creed. While A Thousand Splendid Suns is a phenomenal work, I guess, and I highly encourage teenagers and adults to read this book for its important values and factual information. However, since several scenes in the book display graphic image and vulgar terminology, I would not recommend the books for young teens.
I'm sorry, Ph.D, you have 3 more minutes.
Okay, and the last is Harry Potter. Trust me, none of these books will disappoint you because all the 7 series are amazing. Yeah, although the 5th might slightly put you to sleep, but why is Harry Potter is the best book ever for me? Because Harry Potter is so magical and captivating. Harry starts off as someone just like you and I, a normal person with problems in his life and big dreams ahead of him. It is the best underdog story ever and will inspire you to be as great as Harry Potter and, like him, save your own little world. Okay, I will make it fast then. Number 6 is graded reader books. That you know that graded readers are books specially written for language learners, and that it helps learners to read systematically by introducing them to easy language before they move up to more difficult language. So I would say that number 1 to 5 is the authentic reading materials. So if you can read it, then go for it. But if you are having a lot of difficulties, then graded readers books are the best choice to you. And then, in addition, in 2004, the Extensive Reading Foundation established the Language Learner Literature Award for graded readers in English. The award is annual for books published in the previous year. So it aims to support the development of language learner literature in English and to encourage extensive reading in language education. And Michael's book, The Egghead, won the award in 2017. That was the first time I met and knew Michael. I bought Egghead in Tokyo, brought it back to Indonesia, introduced the book to Pak Dery and Pak Helta, and students in my extensive reading class. And thus far, the book is very wonderful. Every student loves it, every lecturers love it, every teachers love it, every readers love it. So you need to read Michael's work. Okay, and then those are the samples of graded readers book. Dot to Dot is Michael's as well. You need to read it as well, of course. Fine. there are so many genres that you can find it, whether it is fiction or non-fiction. Okay, and then, well, and again, I took a quote from my everlasting favorite writer, J.K. Rowling. She said that if you don't like to read, you haven't found the right book. And then this one is the last. Okay. If you believe life is a journey, then so is reading. Just read, then get lost in a good book. Read a good tale that gives you some place to go when we must stay where we are. Well, Bapak and Ibu, I would like to show you something before I finish my talk. Please, Pak Thomas, give me one more time. Okay. One of my students in the art class, a quiet, shy, introvert, and wallflower boy, was able to read about more than 100 books for 3 months. Well, it was not all in English, but I do really appreciate his enthusiasm. That's why I'm going to grant his wish. He wants to meet Michael, his inspiration, personally, but due to the time limit, he asked me to play his video in this event. He is still learning, so please mind his English here. So, ladies and gentlemen, Gumilar Surya Ramadan. Amen.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, good morning everyone. Firstly, I want to introduce myself. My name is Gumilar Surya Ramadan. I am student from a class of English Education Program in Islamic State University of Raden Intan Lampung. So, at the moment first time, I learned of extensive reading. I am so excited, passionate, and enthusiastic, especially reading a book. In reading book, I have reached my vocabulary, language, enhanced imaginations, better writing skills, reduce stress, and make you feel better mood and great and free entertainment. Next, after I read the book Egghead by Michael Lacey Freeman, I'm so very interesting because of valuable, illustrated, and not use word not difficult, pre-intermediate, and I'm so recommended for teenage and children. In our story in Egghead, I learned about bullying and friendship, that bullying is not and always is not the that's an always friend, and bad is not success in the future. Exactly, the people of bullying am able to be a person and success in the future. And imagination friends able to yourself success in the future. And next, I try to read the book Standing on the Dead City by Maria Fauzi. In this book, I feel a journey in the whole nation, such as Egypt, Turkey, German, French, Spain, and Vatican. And that some picture on the spot, and I feel in each part of the story I am really be there on the place, and so I am interesting because this book taught me about tolerance to each other, especially minorities in the majorities country. I learned about tolerance in these books. In fact, on the past, Islam able to tolerate with another religions such as Christianity, Catholic, and Jewish in a form of art and culture. Example, Mezquita Mayor de Granada, Grande Mob de Paris, Mezquita Cordoba, Agya Sofia most, Syed most, and Wilmer Dorfer most. I think enough for my experience about extensive reading. And the last I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having 2 more minutes. Back to you, Pak Thomas. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ibu Isti. I believe some newcomers here finally know the appropriate genres for them. And for teachers, they can refer to your presentation when they want to provide reading materials for their students. And furthermore, I'm very happy learning your students is very enthusiastic in reading books. Okay, we'll move to the second panelist. The second panelist is Ibu Dr. Nida Husna, HR, MA, TESOL. She is a lecturer at English Education Department, especially at the graduate program, Faculty of Education and Teachers Training, State Islamic University, Syarif, Hidayatullah, Jakarta. She wrote some books and papers related to speaking, reading, and vocabulary, as well as critical thinking and extensive reading. She will share her experience in developing ER programs and how assessment in ER influence the way students think and perceive the program and students' perception related to the program. So, Ibu Nida, time is yours. You have 15 minutes to share your presentation. Ibu Nida.
Okay, thank you. I tried to unmute the microphone, but it's muted by the host. Thank you very much, Pak Thomas. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I believe it's still morning. Thank you for the opportunity to share my journey in extensive reading. Okay. Hello, Bu Isti. It's been a long time, yeah. Since we wandering Tomingse land. Okay.
1 year ago.
All right, I'd like to share my screen now. So, it's there now? Is it there now, Pak Thomas?
Yes, Bu Nida.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. All right. Here I'd like to actually kind of sharing. Yeah. I'd like to share my journey in doing the extensive reading program. I started in 2008, but I really started in 2009 actually. So just say this is a commemoration for a decade of extensive reading in English Education Department in UIN Jakarta. I give a title, Face the Challenge, Create the Chances, and Get the Benefits. I hope it meets the big theme of this virtual talk. Okay, we know that when we say that it's reading good, everybody will say, yes, it is. Yeah, I like reading, but do you really read or not? That's another question. Yeah. I like to say that reading books here, it's them that physical books. Yeah, but due to the pandemic situation, we need to, kind of being adapted to the new situation. So this is not book anymore, but let's start with the book first because this is the old way, which is still very captivating people. Yeah, reading could help you live longer. How could that be? Because at the time our brain works better. Yeah, because we keep reading. Remember, reading is not a passive activity; it's actually active. Because when we read, yeah, most of our many elements working. So it's not necessarily to say that reading is a passive, but maybe a receive, yeah, because we actively doing something during the reading. And you may absorb more than more from a physical book. Why? Because when we use physical books, that when the printed one, you can also write something on it. Yeah, we can take notes and do some checking, and it's very different when reading online. But again, due to the condition, we have to adapt with that. Develop the skill of the future, of course, because we also develop how to be empathize with other people, yeah, and also we need to understand many, after reading several novels lately during this WH, sorry, work from home situation, yeah, I think that wow, my world is open because I read a new kind of novels. Yeah, this is from web novels. Yeah, there's so many skim people. Yeah, a little bit of read. Okay, it builds your vocabulary not just in a foreign language, but also in our own language. When we read a lot, we add our own vocabulary, including in our own language. Sometimes we do not use it because we don't talk much, but when we read, we add more. Yeah, again, even in our own language. And it helps word of brain deterioration because it keeps our, cognitive process here working. Yeah, this is from Emma Carlton. But to be get deeper, yeah, you need to go to the article itself. Yeah. Okay. Now let's see. Well, whenever I start my class on extensive reading, yeah, I always ask my students where they are. Yeah, there are two types of students: lower ability and higher ability students. And usually, because of being humble, the student will choose lower ability students. Yeah. Okay. They say that. Yeah, this is some characteristics of the student who included in lower ability student. They just think that reading is schoolwork, serious, difficult process requiring hard work and discipline effort. And when they see this, they said, oh, then we are higher ability students then, because we don't want to become, to make the student, the reading is a schoolwork that's, kind of not very cool as a reading. Yeah. Okay. So this is the higher ability students. Yeah. This should be meaning-centered approach, pleasant, imaginative activity, and a way to learn something. So what we need to do is to help the student change their paradigm, yeah, shift their perspective to make reading, even though this is a kind of obligation from our subject or from our course or from our department, yeah, they have to see it as a chance to improve themselves, to see something from other than just an obligation. So the reason why I start my extensive reading class at that time, when I got the chance from the faculty to add more credit point for the reading, I start the extensive reading class. That's because there's some awareness from the lecturer that our students have a very low reading ability. Yes, they do understand that they need to read. Yes, the lecturer motivate them. Yes, we give them kind of, suggestion, you have to read this book, and they also bought the book. But again, yeah, when in class, yeah, the result is not always what expected. Yeah, most of them just having the book, but they don't read it. Yeah, they know it's important, but they're too lazy to read it. Okay, and then at that time, insufficient reading resources. Yeah, at the time, because internet is not as cool as now. Yeah, but now I think reading resources is everywhere. Yeah, just at the tip of your finger. Almost no motivation. We need something to push them, to make them read. Yeah, maybe to force them. Yeah, I think, I'm sorry, as a Muslim, even when we were children, our parents urge us to pray, right? And they allow us to kind of force us to pray, because that kind of learning too. Yeah, and that's okay as long as it doesn't physically hurt people. Yeah, okay, so we need to motivate them. So how to motivate them? Just giving, come on, you have to read this book, is good, good reading is fine, blah, 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 blah. Yes, they know that, but we need some action to put in that motivation into action. Yeah, and then low awareness that reading will be very helpful for their future. Maybe they know, but still, Yeah, again, the lazy factor is very hard to conquer. Eh? Afraid to take the steps. We're already afraid. Can we do it? Is it okay? How about the resources? We don't have many books. Who will take in charge? Blah, 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 blah. Who will do the assessment? Yeah. Well, taste of the pudding is in the eating. Yeah. So if you want to make it, if you want to see what, whether it's successful or not, just do it. Yeah, and see the problem and how we conquer the problem then. Almost no chances. Yeah, I'm not so sure whether this is still suitable for now, but there is chances now. But at the time, the chance, yeah, I say that I was given a chances to add more reading subject. And what to do at the time? We renewed the curriculum, adding extensive reading as one of our subjects, and then creating new environment to make reading is part of our daily needs, and find a way to get the support. At the time, thanks God, we got the support from the department and also from the faculty. Determination and perseverance, because there will be a lot of obstacles and problems. Yeah, the problems come, the availability of reading materials. At the time, in 2009, 2010, yeah, it's very difficult to get the resources, especially novels. So, yeah, that's very difficult. But let's do something, just the perseverance. Yeah, how to assess the students' reading? It's also become another problem. How can I, at the time, how will I assess the students' reading? Yeah, they said that's I will read, and then how to assess them? Yeah, the shock feeling because the program breaks the old habit and need consistency. Yes, everybody was shocked at that time because all of a sudden they have to read, really read. Yeah, okay, and cheating probability. At the moment, this time I'm doing my own research on cheating probability in doing extensive reading program, and so far, yeah, hopefully I can finish it soon. Okay, so just put into the action. So at that time, I started from my own private collection, several of my novels of mine being donated to the department. I don't know, I'm not so sure, it's still there now. And then faculty added another 100 novels just once, yeah, but that's more than enough. We are very happy at the time. And then buying new next novels using the fines. This is the novels that we've collected. Yeah, this is used novel, of course, the second novel. Yeah, luckily in Jakarta we have a lot of market, not a lot, yeah, several market that sell a lot of used novels, so we can buy them much cheaper. Yeah, we cannot afford the new ones, that will be very expensive. Yeah, so whenever they late in returning the books, they will get fined, and we, you know, collect the fines to buy the new to buy other novels. So it's kind of self-funding library. Yeah. So how to do that? I prepare an army, a groups of students who become the volunteer, yeah, for extensive reading. Actually, this is not necessarily for extensive reading at the moment. Yeah, at the very beginning, it was just for students to read. So we just prepare a bookshelf consists of several novels. That's my novels that time. So we call it reading corner. But the students now know this as English corner, E-core. So it's been a very long time. Yeah, the history of reading corner or E-core volunteer. It started, yeah, in 2000 somewhere, because some of the volunteers themselves has already become the lecturer now. Yeah. Okay. So it's been a long story to prepare this. Yeah. Yeah, sorry?
You have 3 more minutes.
3 more minutes? Oh my God, that's so fast. Oh, sorry. Yeah, okay, so that's manage the system. This is all the volunteers doing, yeah. Okay. And then develop the assessment. At that time, I'm still confused what to do. Yeah. What should I do to assess my students? So, let's see. I create this. Yeah, it starts from scratches. Of course, this is the latest one. The previous one, I'm not so sure. Yeah, this is the examples of the assessment. It can be used for any novels. Yeah, so I don't have to prepare specific question for each novel, which is impossible. Yeah, so I create this, and somehow based on my cheating research, yeah, they do not cheat, because they have very different way of, because we add a critical thinking part to answer this response. Yeah, I'm not so sure. Can this work or not? Does it work or not? Yeah, this is the example of what they're doing. Yeah, let's see. Okay, let's fast forward it. All right. Yeah, that's some of the example of my students' work. Oh, sorry. How to this?
It's like the new share screen, Ibu.
Yeah, all right, done. Okay, so that's some of the example of the assessment that they have to present their reading, their novels reading, so in the YouTube. Yeah, if you want to have some more performance from my students, you can just type in YouTube novel story retelling for ER. Yeah, okay, and then this I give them kind of research. Yeah, this is the question that I gave them. Yeah, the student question before, what do you know about ER class and what do you think about ER class? This is the before. Yeah, so there are 42 students say that this is terrifying classes, time consuming. So they got this from their seniors. They haven't got the ER yet. After they got the ER, this is their response. They said that it has good effect on language skills, component, etc. It's challenging, and some still answer high pressure, so they may answer more than one. They can give more than one response. Yeah, okay. This is some of their original response. Yeah, so actually, extensive reading is highly impact how I think for skill in learning this impact in extensive reading. My reading skill is obviously improved by reviewing. This is the writing. So sorry for some errors in grammar or maybe in the language itself. Yeah, because I just screenshot their writing. And this is another one. Okay. It can be seen ya Pak Thomas ya. Ya, oke, sebentar lagi Pak. A minute more. Okay. This is my latest research for my latest class. Yeah, so still in bahasa Indonesia. Yeah, because this is from Google Form. So at that time, I asked them whether they agree with the activities that's been done in our ER program, because they have to read 10 novels, yeah, and then 8 textbooks, and also 10 articles. So this is about the novel ones, yeah. So this is what they got, yeah. Okay. So I think there are many benefits, yeah, in extensive reading. So don't be afraid, yeah. If you find some obstacles, try to find the solution. I think that's all from me. Thank you, Pak Thomas. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Bu Nida. Those are very good programs, and I know we all can learn from your experiences, both the ups and also downs. Okay, now we'll move to the third panelist. Our third panelist is Bapak Agus Hidayat, M.Pd. Bapak Agus is the lecturer at UIN Raden Intan Lampung, who has been teaching for over 7 years. He mainly teaches media and language teaching, reading, and research methodology. He is also one of the personnel of Language Development Center of UIN Raden Intan Lampung that manages English and Arabic development programs and language proficiency testing. In his free time, he enjoys reading novels and watching documentaries. Today, he is going to share his plan for his ER class. His presentation is entitled Developing Digital Reading Log for FVR, Free Voluntary Reading. So, Pak Agus, you have 10 minutes. Time is yours.
Okay. Thank you very much, Pak Thomas. Okay, dear speakers, my fellow panelists and the audience, I'm going to share my plan that I'd like to apply in my next extensive reading class. Since here at UIN Raden Intan Lampung, it has been confirmed that the teaching and learning activities will be carried out online. That is why in my next extensive reading class, I would like to incorporate online platform to assist me in reading. I plan to apply reading log in my extensive reading class. Actually, I have applied reading log in my extensive reading class before the pandemic, where I can still see my students face to face. But now the condition is different. Since the teaching and learning activity will be conducted online, I have to adapt to this situation. Before I talk about my plan, I'm sure that the audience are familiar with reading log. As you know, reading log is a journal where a person can record his or her activity in reading. It is a note of what, when, and how many pages we have read. And there are also many purposes of reading log. Some of them are to help us organize and summarize our reading, as well as to keep track of our reading activities. Actually, there are two types of reading log. The first one is voluntary reading log. It is a reading log where the readers are free to choose the book they want to read and free to fill in the log. And then the second one is mandatory reading log. It requires the readers to fill in the log. In some cases, the teacher said it is mandatory activity, and it often requires parents' signature as a proof of the reading activity. Actually, reading log has been subjected to many research from many perspectives. Therefore, various responses and results have been produced. Some may view reading logs as a bad thing because it invites negative effects for the students. Mainly, it affects the intrinsic motivation of reading, where make the reading not fun, removing the autonomy, and turns reading into chores. However, it also presents some positive effects, especially beneficial for teachers to play it in the class. Among the benefits of reading logs are it can help students and teachers to track the volume and progress of reading, to increase the amount of time students spend reading, and to look or determine students' reading level. So in my next extensive reading class, I intend to use Google Form and Google Classroom as the teaching platform. Actually, there are several applications similar to reading log offered in the market, such as GoodNotes or Banchi. You can find them in the App Store in your phone. However, you have to be a member to use the full feature of the apps. The apps that I have mentioned require students to be premium members and also make it hard for the teachers or the lecturer to monitor the students' reading progress. By considering the familiarity and efficiency, Google Form is chosen as the platform. I'm sure that most teachers and students are already familiar with Google and its application. It contains features that can be utilized to create a reading log. Actually, it is really easy to create a reading log using the Google Form. Yeah. First, you just need to access your Google account or visit forms.google.com and then create a blank page. And then in the open page, you can edit the questions. The questions can be as simple as this, that only contains students' identity, the title of the book, the author, the number of pages, and then duration of reading. But you can also modify the questions to spice it up by asking more detailed questions, such as the genre of the book by utilizing the drop-down or checkbox options. The checkbox option is useful if a single book consists of several genres. You can also ask the students to rate the book. Yeah. You can also ask students to write the book by utilizing the linear scale option. There are 5 stars that represent students' responses toward the book. We can set 1 star being the lowest and 5 stars being the highest. Also, you can ask the students to write a summary or review or their opinion about the books by utilizing the paragraphs option here. The questions is really depend on the creator of the reading work. How much and the types of information are really based on the teacher's preference. Through Google Form, we can directly observe the students' reading progress because as soon as they fill in the form, we can directly see the report of the students' responses. And based on the obtained information, we can provide appropriate feedback to the students. And one reading work can be used for all students and can be fulfilled multiple times. The forms entry can be sorted based on the name of the students or based on the chronological order so that the teachers don't have to make too many forms and don't have to be afraid of losing the students' responses. Also, the reading log entry can be used to check the progress of the students or can be used as the basis for evaluation. Well, that's actually my plan for my next extensive reading class. I'm considering of applying the voluntary reading log in order not to place too much burden on the students. Well, I think that's all that I can say. I apologize if there was any mistakes. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'll give back to Pak Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Gus. You actually still have 3 more minutes.
Oh, okay.
But that's okay. Pak Gus, I could say that the plan is so interesting, and I think I will use it too in my class next semester. Thank you so much for your consideration, Pak Gus.
Okay.
Yeah. Finally, now it is time for us to listen to the last presentation from our 4th panelist. Our 4th panelist is Bapak Dery Hirdawan, M.Pd. He is currently teaching at Politeknik Maritim Negeri Indonesia. Pak Dery has been teaching for about 14 years, and now he will discuss how he got to know extensive reading. His presentation is entitled An Extensive Reading Program. How did I start back then? And for your information, he is also using Egghead for the starter book for his students. So now let us welcome Pak Dery. Time is yours and you have 10 minutes.
Okay, thank you, Pak Thomas. I will start sharing my screen now. Okay, here it goes. Okay, hello everyone. It's nice to be here. It's nice to see all of you, and I do hope you are all in good condition given our current situation. And as Pak Thomas mentioned, I had the chance to teach at 2 different colleges. And what I want to share in this occasion is my experiences in implementing extensive reading program at both colleges, especially about the part how I begin the program. So it's not about the journey I became an extensive reader, but it's a journey how I created a community of extensive reading. We are already deep in the seminar, and it is already the seminar number 13, right? So I think it is safe for me to say that extensive reading is love, extensive reading is life. It's a joke, but it is also true. But when someone like me who wants to create an extensive reading program wants to start, often we are slapped with the 10 principles of the 10 characteristics of extensive reading. And yes, I am referring to the 10 principles of by Day and Bamford. So these 10 principles, when you look at them, it looks like a lot of work to do. Well, yes, it is actually, but because those are the ideal condition of extensive reading. And to tell you the truth that you already know anyway, probably, our condition is far from ideal. So rather than setting those characteristics as our starting point, it is it will be easier for us to treat those as our goal or objective in addition to the general objective of extensive reading. So there is no need to put unnecessary burden at the beginning of your extensive reading program. All right. So extensive reading literally means reading extensively, and there won't be reading extensively if our students don't even read non-extensively, and there won't be reading non-extensively if they don't have the motivation to do so. And there are many factors influencing motivation, but I will not go there. I will stop at motivation. So what I am going to say maybe sounds a little bit stretch definition, but for the sake of our discussion, I would like to categorize our students into two types of students, those who read in the first language and those who don't. So for those students who read in the first language, they already have the motivation to read. So a simple suggestion like, here is a book, it has a good story, it will be good for you, you will like it, and off they go with the books. These students are rare commodities though. One of them is Gumilar, the boy who is shown in this video. That is a rare commodity. Very few students actually act like him. On the other hand, unfortunately, most of our other students are those who don't even read in the first language. So for these kind of students, they need more motivation. We need to provide them with more motivation. And this is where I violate the sixth principle of extensive reading, which is reading is its own rewards. So yes, I begin my extensive reading program by violating the principle of extensive reading. But as an extensive reading program setter, every little reward, every little trick, every little effort may be needed to give our student the motivation to read. So my suggestion is don't be afraid to try new things. Because we don't know which of our little trick is going to become the student's motivation. They have different motivation. And here is my story of trying different tricks in different situations I faced in both college. Yeah. And my first attempt of extensive reading was in UIN Raden Intan Lampung. I will consider my attempt as two, the first attempt and the second attempt. In my first attempt, I provided books to my students, yeah, the digital ones, because the physical ones are expensive. And to stimulate their motivation, I promised to reward them with scores. Yes, I was teaching an extensive reading subject at that time. So me and my students, we made a deal of how many books should be read and how I kept track of why they read, like reading logs or reading reports mentioned by Mr. Agus Hidayat just now. And to be honest, it didn't really work out. While some students did their reading, some of them just copied their friends' logs. So yeah, it's not really working. So I figured that I need to give them more motivation. So in my second attempt, I did what I had done before, and this time I read to them. And I'm mentioning this not because Mr. Freeman is here, no, because I actually did it. I read to them a book, the Egghead book. So I think it is working. It was working better than my first attempt because I only read a couple of pages from the Egghead book, and at the end of the class, some students actually came to me and asked whether they can borrow the book. Okay, so that was one step closer to the sixth principle. And then fast forward, now I am teaching at Polymarine, and in this college, I faced an entirely new condition, an entirely new challenge. So let me introduce you, Polymarine. It is a semi-military based system college, so the students do lots and lots of physical activities. And I can see that they are physically tired all the time. Also, they are placed in dormitory in which they cannot access their phones except for the weekend. And also they are given only food, what is served to them, no food from the outside allowed. So you can imagine, right, the condition. And their schedule is fully packed from morning until the evening. So yeah, so very, very tiring. Even if the lecturer can seem to understand how the system goes like this, but that is for another discussion. Okay, regardless, I try to implement extensive reading program in this university, in this college. So, long story short, I managed to get 1.5 hours for 3 times a week out of their schedule to do an extensive reading. So initially, the students were glad they can join my extensive reading program because, frankly speaking, they think any activities are better than running and doing push-ups. So yeah, so they were happy to join my class. But that didn't take long because they are physically tired all the time. It didn't take long for them to sleep on the book. I mean, like literally sleep on the book because they are very, very tired. So I cannot blame them, and I cannot blame the system. Yeah. Who am I? So I had to think something others to motivate them. Clearly, what I did in UIN didn't work in Polymarine. So I decided to get to know them. For your information, the number of students in Polymarine is far less than in UIN Raden Intan Lampung. So I had the luxury to get to know of my students closer. So I talked to them one by one, and this is where it gets interesting because you see, my students, almost all of my students are boys and they love sports. That's why they join Polymarine, yeah, physical institution. And the most popular sports is football. Okay, football, hobbies, that is good enough motivation to it. And also, news about football keeps coming, so I don't have to be worried about running out of materials. And coincidentally, at the time, I knew a football game, not the one you play with joystick, no, but the managerial one. So in order to do well in that game, you need lots of information, the latest information about football players. I introduced the game to my students, and I showed the forum to read about information and do discussion, ask questions, all in English, of course. And the students, well, most of my students were hooked with the game and subsequently were hooked with extensive reading. And long story short, that is, I think that is my very first extensive reading community. So no score attached, there is no need to give candy, there is no need to give score or any other rewards because they do it because they want it now. So yeah, that is my first reading community, the end, happy ending. So I know that it was largely coincidence. And what I did is not necessarily applicable to other situation, to other community. But my point is that don't be afraid to try new things because also, most of our students need the right push to get them started reading. And we don't know which kind of push is needed. So you might as well try them all. And with this, we are circling back to the beginning. I know we, teachers and lecturers, are busy with lots of responsibility. So this extensive program sounds like a lot of hassle, right? Well, yeah, it is. But is extensive reading program worth it? Well, yeah, it definitely is. Okay. So I think that is for what I can share to you for today. Thank you for listening to my rambling, and I hope it will be useful for you somehow. And back to you, Pak Thomas. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Dery. You are so on time. And thank you so much for your very insightful sharing. I believe your sharing already answered some questions from the audience. I'm so sorry for the audience. We only have limited time, so I will only read one question for both speakers and panelists. And this time, I would like to ask Pak Malik. Hello, Pak Malik.
Hi.
Okay. Okay, so the question is from Ahmad Nuril Huda from Zoom and also from Sound. They have a quite similar question. So they would like to hear more about your story of how you fell in love with book for the first time and how you have developed collecting book as apparently one of your hobbies. And Sen also asked you, do you approach the book through author dependent or reader response? And how to cultivate your love to read more books afterwards. Thank you.
Okay. You know, I don't know how to answer. That's I don't have a particular answer. But what I want to say is, first time I like to talk. I like to talk. I like to I like to give a speech. I like to talk. And then when I was in school, I really hate my teacher who are not very updated on the information. So I don't want to be a person like that. I always complaining to my teacher, my lecturer, that's basi, it's basi. I don't want to be like that. When I do, you know, I'm a Muslim and I'm a Santri. Sometimes people in the mosque ask me to give preaching. Only sometimes. It's only sometimes. And even to do preachings, I don't like to be like a boring person with not with all information. So because I always want to update my information, I read. That's why I fall in love with book. And how I choose book, you know, sometimes I don't like what people read. My wife, for example, tell me about Harari. The more she tell me about Harari, the more I refuse to read Harari. That's not good. That's really not good thing. That's very, you know, selfish. But I choose a book because I want to know. You know, when people, I think one thing I need to tell you, people with reading dyslexia like me always carries the new thing. Like when I read, for example, I read this book, The Illusions of Islamic State. Then sometimes I go to Islamic State. What is Islamic State? What is illusions in a psychological perspective? I really want to know illusions. And then I don't know how much time I need to read the whole of this book, because every single thing sometimes, you know, I want to know deeper and deeper. That's for, I don't know if it is good or not, but for people who like reading, that's good. But for people who do research like me, that's really not good. My professor tell me, Malik, sometimes I will tell you, stop reading now. So I need to tell myself, stop reading now. So that's one of the tips, and then how I fall in love to read. So if you visit my place, maybe my books quite different with people in my community. Oh yeah, once more. If you study in a country like Australia, you will have an access to public library, and in the public library you will have an access to audiobook. So before you sleep, you can listen to audiobook. Long time ago, when I was in Pesantren, Gus Dur, President Abdurrahman Wahid, I know Gus Dur like to listen to audiobook, and at that time I really wants to have a collection of audiobook. It's only Gus Dur, a person that I know who has the audiobooks, but now it is quite easy to find audiobook. So enjoy audiobook if you don't want to read. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Malik. Now I would like to ask Michael to give his closing remark. Michael?
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, please.
A closing remark, I noticed reading the chat is very interesting and participating in this talk. I enjoyed all of your talks, and I stayed in my seat because it was such an enjoyable experience. And I saw that there was a question about that was addressed to the Egghead experience, about bullying, about a certain part of the story where, at the end, where I mention famous people who have been victims of bullying, and how students relate to that, and how readers relate to that. And I think, you know, that it goes back to the point I made before, that stories open up all kinds of questions. It's a bit like just my colleague said just now, answering his question, you know, that you start reading and then it opens up another question and another question and another question, and this kind of wide reading happens. But I find that with this opening up all these questions, it gives a chance. For example, when I speak to readers of Egghead, I always know the student who is being bullied, because they always ask the same question. The question that they ask is of me. They ask, Michael, are you happy? And that question reveals a lot to me, because when you're being bullied, you really think that your future is so dark that you will never be happy. And to have that kind of confirmation, let's say, that yes, you will be happy. This is not your whole future. There is a way out. And I think that the stories, they do that. They help you to address these questions and to talk about them. It opens up this possibility, and that's what I found traveling with Egghead, and it fills me with joy to hear, obviously, the different stories and Derry's experience in the classroom with Egghead. And Egghead is my own personal story, and it's my own personal testimony as to what books can do. So thank you for giving me this chance to speak about it today. I've really enjoyed the whole experience, and I hope that I get a chance to come again. Maybe number 14, I can log in and listen. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Sure, Michael. Yeah, thank you so much for your powerful messages, and thank you so much also for Pak Malik for your experiences related to how you fall in love with the reading. Dear participants, we are so sorry that we cannot share and answer your questions directly in this session. However, your questions will be compiled and sent to the Telegram group, so no need to worry. We will also send the question and answers to the Zoom chat on Virtual Talk, number 14, so make sure you also attend the next Virtual Talk. Well, what a lively discussion we have had today. Unfortunately, we have limited time, so we have to end our discussion here. Once again, thank you for the wonderful presentation from the invited speakers and also panelists, and thank you for the audience who have participated actively throughout today's webinar. Now, I would like to return this session to the MC, Ibu Alia. Thank you.
Thank you, Bapak Thomas, for your contribution and keynote speakers as well, and all the panelists and IERA members for sharing with us. Thank you very much for all participants for participating in our program. But before you leave, please fill out the exit form, which is provided in the chat box and in the slide that we are going to share here. So wait a minute, let me share. Okay, can you see? Can you see?
Yes, Ibu.
Yes, Ibu.
Okay, so this one, the link. So please, we would like to remind you that this link, this exit ticket is only available for 2 hours starting from now. Yeah. So just complete the forms there. Okay, so dear participants, thank you very much once again. Thank you, IERA and the Extensive Reading Foundation. We are at the end of this webinar, and don't forget, we still have next virtual talk 14 hosted by UIN Raden Intan Lampung on October 7th, 2020. So don't forget to join us again and participate. Okay, so I will close this webinar by reciting Hamdalah. Alhamdulillahirrabbilalamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you. Miss Aulia, can you post the exit ticket to the chat box?
Okay, sure.
Oktober ya? Still in Raden Intan in October?
Yes.
Wow,
we are
wonderful.
still the host of the virtual talk 14 chapter with Raden Intan.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, for the all participants, please be patient. Miss Aulia will post the exit ticket on the chat box. On the chat box, Miss Aulia. So they just can click the link.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Isti.
Nida. Thank you, Pak Thomas.
Jadi ingat videonya.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Pak Agus. Thank you, Pak Dery.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, perhaps
thank you.
Later on, I would like to send you the questions through email, and perhaps post it in the next virtual talk the following next 2 weeks, perhaps something like that.
My pleasure.
Yes, the question. They are eager to ask you the question.
Wonderful. Very happy.
Michael?
Very happy.
Now, Michael, your last name is Freeman. Is that something to do with Diane Larson?
With sorry, with
Diane Larson.
no, it's Lacey Freeman. I have two surnames. So,
I see.
Yeah. No. It's a double-barrel surname.
Right. So yeah, what are you doing now?
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice weekend.
Thank you for some of my students.
Have a nice weekend, everybody. When do you start school? Is it Sunday or Monday? Monday.
Monday.
It's Monday, so you have the weekend now.
Yeah, it's weekend now.
What will you do after this, Michael?
I'm writing a course book at the moment, so I'll be doing some things for that, I think, and so I'll be writing this weekend. A story as well I'm writing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Aduh, that reminds me that I haven't finished my course book yet. Oh my God. It's really hard.
Yeah, course book.
Sit down and being
yes.
Concentrate.
It's a real challenge. Writing course books. So and obviously people who are using my teachers who are using Egghead, I'm very happy to intervene, like to meet your class virtually. You know, like I'm very happy to do that. I've done it a few times now, and it's always a pleasure. So obviously, just let me know. It's a bit late to do this maybe, but I can leave my email address. You're welcome to post that next time, maybe if teachers want to get in touch about Egghead, about maybe they've given the students, you know, like at the end of the reading process, they can ask me questions. Yes. I'm very happy to do that. Okay. Okay, I will say goodbye to you then, to all of you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Very nice to see you again.
Nice to see you, and thank you for starting off my weekend with a smile. That's very nice. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'll talk to you later, Michael.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everything.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice
Bye.
weekend.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Ini saya mau langsung end ya.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. I'll see you in the next Zoom meeting. See you next 2 weeks. Goodbye.
Thank you very much, Nida, Pak Thomas.